Hi everyone! Today I want to share with you some interesting findings in New York City yellow taxi. You can see the yellow taxi on street every day, right? It has been an icon for New York City. Have you ever wondered some more interesting patterns for the yellow taxi? Now let's look at it. I downloaded the road data from New York City Open Data Source. I only picked the time period for January 7th, 2015 from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's a normal Wednesday and it's peak hour, so it can be representative for a normal working day. But it really surprised me that there's over 42,000 rows within this 1.5 hour. Let's see what are the information in this row data sheet. There's firstly the pickup date and time and drop-off date and time, passenger count, trip distance, longitude and latitude for pickup and drop-off, and the pay type, as well as the fare amount and the segmentation of total amount. I also did analysis for direction based on the change of latitude. But what surprised me is that the percentage for the taxi go to the south line and the north line is actually 50-50. So I didn't draw a pie chart or other charts for this, but it's also a very interesting finding. Now let's look at the dashboard. I calculated some average numbers from the data, and the average duration is around 30 minutes and 20 seconds, and average distance around 2.3 miles, average spending around $14, and average party size is about 1.7. I also calculated if you're taking Uber for the same distance and same time, actually the spending would be around 11. So Uber really saving your money. And now let's see the first chart. We know that there is a lot of traffic lights in New York City, and people are complaining about the taxi being even slower than the MTR. Now let's test if this is true. I've run regression analysis based on the trip duration and trip distance, and we can see that the average speed per minute is about 0.27 miles, and I searched on Google for the average speed of MTR. Actually, the average speed of MTR is around 0.285 per minute, which is actually faster than taxi. So what people are complaining is true, and if you got the chance to take the MTR, just don't take taxi. It's so costly and it's not gonna save your time. For the next chart, let's look at the average spending for different customer counts. We can see that if you are one person taking the taxi, the average spending tends to be the lowest, which is around $10.63. And what's interesting is about 6 people in a group. Think about it. Now taking taxi is actually more cost efficient than 6 people taking the MTR. So in this situation, if you are have 5 other friends together, you should consider to actually take the taxi. Now let's look at the next chart. This chart is about the percentage of different counts of customer group. It's really surprising that we find out just one person group is taking around 72% of the whole trips, and if it's 2 persons group is taking 13%, and 3 persons group is 4%. For 4 people's group it's 2%, and 5 it's 6%. 6 people it's 3%. What I'm thinking about is that actually it's really a waste of public transportation resource when a lot of people just taking taxi alone. Think about it. Now Uber has the service such as Uber Pool. And this can use the public transportation resource more effectively and can reduce the traffic and also reduce the carbon emission. I think that's a better idea to get people together. Now let's look at the next chart. For this chart, and I analyzed the breakdown of the whole fare amount, and we can see that the fare is actually only 74% of your total spending, and the tip is taking about 15%, and which means the tip is about 20% of the whole fare. It's actually the lowest level you can pay to the taxi driver. I'm not really surprised to find about it because New York City people tend to be really mean, but this can also indicate that the taxi drivers may not provide a very good service. The last table is a time series study to analyze how the number of trips and spending change with time. The time period is within 5:30 to 7 p.m. Now let's first take a look at the overall result before we check the breakdown by pay type and group size. For the overall result, we can see that the average amount for each trip is actually decreasing for this time period. So if I'm the taxi driver, I might want to go earlier in this period, and it may also be caused by the traffic condition. From this chart, we can also see that the number of trips is actually increasing, not too much, but there's an increasing trend for the number of trips during this period. Now let's see if there's any interesting pattern by break down the group. The one passenger pattern is actually very similar because it's the dominating group for numbers. Let's check the 5 people's group. It's really interesting that it has a really sharp decrease around 5:14 to 5:50. Then it stays steady for the amount of each trip. The last chart is a power map which showing the heat graph analysis of the yellow taxi. Let's look at it. We can see that the most popular location is around the Midtown. Most of the activities happens here, and look at Wall Street. Maybe people from the Wall Street cannot leave until 7, so there has not been many activities. That's all for my yellow taxi analysis. Thank you very much.